Good morning, good morning, good morning, folks. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We're going back to that horrible world known as the JRC. But before we do, the usual disclaimers and a brief rant. So, over the last week, those of us who are on Twitter have had to endure some infighting in the deaf community. I'm not going to go into depth. If you want to know why, I'm staying out of it. I'm not picking either side. Just like with any other case, I'm going to wait for the facts to come out. Because facts will always out. I don't agree with this idea of automatically siding with one side or another before facts are known. Nor do I believe in mudslinging from either side, which does nothing but encourage opposition. In opposition, if you've been around politics and politicians, and I have for entirely too long, yeah. So I'm not allowing myself to get drawn up into this, what has devolved down into a mudslinging. Okay? For my own mental health, among other things. Because the deaf community is not the only one that I belong to. And the fact of the matter is, the only reason why I got involved with it in the first place has to do with the same thing we are fighting for every day on this channel. Disability rights. And those who violate our rights with impunity. It's putting a spotlight on DV, which is a massive issue for people with disabilities, people who are disabled, that nobody talks about. In spite of the fact that when it comes to DV or other acts of violence committed by significant others, parents, or caretakers, we are number one. Number one at every single statistic. And I knew that nobody was going to see that side of it. Throw in the fact that I always fight for my neurodivergent brothers and sisters and otherwise disabled brothers and sisters, and I couldn't not become a part of it. And you don't even know the joy I felt to watch him win. The first one of us to actually be able to get some justice. That's what it was always about for me. And I stated it from the very beginning when I first jumped in. I don't like drama. Of course I don't. I'm autistic. I am logical. I am analytical. I want to see your facts, not your opinions or your feelings. Not that I don't care about your feelings, but you see where I'm going with here, right? The JRC, what we do on this channel, what we are fighting every day, is what I'm doing every day when I get off of work. It's what I do when I get up in the morning. It's what I do in between breaks at work. It is an all-encompassing fight. Okay? Every last one of us who are a part of this fight has put in hours, days, years, blood, sweat, and tears, going through all the avenues we can to shut this place down. There's simply not enough time to allow myself to be dragged down in whatever this is. My advice is, because everybody's getting butthurt, people are getting offended, people are feeling the need to leave, just don't take part in it. I thought one of the things that we learned the most from Deb versus Heard is wait for evidence, wait for facts before jumping on one side or the other. I thought that was the whole point. Sorry, I'm frustrated, folks. This has been littering my TL all week. Okay? So I'm not retreating. I would never ever retreat or throw one of my own under the bus because of drama. But I will keep my peace until new information, evidence, and facts become available. In the meantime, I'm going to continue to fight and focus on the JRC until the day they close their doors and not another child ever has to be harmed and abused by them again. That is primary focus. This is number one. And it should be. Because these folks are still being abused. It has to be my priority. All right, to the disclaimers. In the description box, you're going to find a link to the article that the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center doesn't want you to read. It's written by NeuroClastic, a small non-for-profit started by autistics for autistics, wherein they interviewed and surveyed over 900 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's so-called behavior modification program. Matter of fact, the JRC doesn't want you to read this article so much, they've threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit if they did not remove it from the website. Hence why it's all-encompassing, folks. They're attacking us on all fronts. NeuroClastic has refused, so you know the drill. Read that article and share it on all your social media. We also have included in their NeuroClastic's public statement regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding in case the JRC actually sees through with their threat. Also included in there the Ozarks' first article in regards to Agape Boarding School, now known as Stone for Help boarding school situation, a so-called Christian-themed boarding school based out of Stockton, Missouri that takes in so-called troubled male teens that has impending over 21 civil lawsuits, claims, and allegations leveled against it, all which have been substantiated by the Missouri Department of Social Services, and they include the following: sodomy, rape, sexual assault, child abuse, psychological and emotional abuse, child trafficking, starvation, and that's just for starters. You have one former staff member arrested by the FBI, another a doctor, still on the premises with full access to the boys, up on multiple, again, substantiated claims of sodomy, rape, and sexual assault of the boys there. You have an attorney general too busy chasing after drag queens and trying and failing to defund public libraries to actually do his job, and you got a governor off his nut. So please read that article, share it on all your social media, and for the love of all that's fucking holy, vote blue. I usually don't get into politics, but folks, the GOP has gone to supporting autistics to erasing our rights one by one. Send help. Alright, also included in there, as always, all the pertinent links to the Stop the Shocks campaign, including this interview of the 4 moms we are going through right now, Autistic Hoya's massive archive on the subject, Jennifer Masemba's behavioral sheet of shockable offenses, A clip out of the 7-hour ordeal undergone by Andre McCollins back in 2002. The templates and the ever-present self-explanatory change.org shut the Judge Rotenberg Center down petition. When we discuss the JRC, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of people with disabilities being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, folks, please go ahead and use those headphones, all right? Trigger warning, this channel is marked not for children for a reason. We use profanity on occasion and speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and they are watching this, very obviously, parental supervision is very much advised. Alright. So let's go to where we left off. We've gone through Keith, so let's go to where we were speaking about Heidi. Similarly, Heidi's mother reported what occurred after Heidi's alleged threat to another student. She was removed from private day special education school. The other kids said it was all her. The other kids who were involved were suspended for a day or two and went back, but the parents demanded that this kid not be at school. With Columbine happening before that, Heidi didn't have a chance. I feel they had been able to work this out at this school. She would have done really well and not gotten so far into her deep troubles. I can't tell you the kind of effect that Columbine has had on us autistics. I can't emphasize it enough. Because when you want to talk about kids who are targeted, anybody that was even remotely autistic suddenly got looked at as though we were going to open fire. What I saw was an expression of a lot of guilty consciences. Autistics are bullied from day one, relentlessly. Relentless. It never stops. Okay? When any of us ever fights back, who do you think ends up the principal's office? Is it the normal kids? Or is it the weird kid that likes to play D&D and likes dark clothing? Especially after Columbine. Yeah. And after every single school shooting since then. Literally every single one of them. Including the one in Texas, I might add. It is always brought up. Literally always brought up. We think they might have been autistic. Every time, folks. Every time. Okay? Public school was already hell for us. Alright? Sorry, I gotta shake my leg. Leg went to sleep. I hate that feeling. We're already marginalized. We're already targets. But after the era of school shootings begun, the finger has been pointed directly and solely, I might add, at us. Every time. Teachers look at us differently. Students look at us differently. And anytime anything goes wrong, whether we've been bullied and can prove it or not, guess what they point the finger at? Well, I wonder if they were autistic. Yeah. But anyways, let's read on, shall we? Quality of prior behavior support. The commonly accepted rationale for the use of aversive interventions has two components: demonstration that less intrusive methods have been attempted, and that there was a concomitant implementation of these prior attempts. Alberto and Troutman, 2009, Cooper, 2007. Now, very obviously, since we looked through Table 2, we know none of those things happened. There was no full functional assessment that was done. None. No behavioral support plan that was put into practice. Nothing, nothing, nothing. And I know how Missouri I sound right now. Nothing. Nothing. So the fact of the matter is, less intrusive treatments were not used. At least they were not used correctly because people were doing this flying blind. Like pin the tail on the autistic. Throwing noodles to see if they're done and hoping that one of them sticks. Okay? You cannot come up with a comprehensive intervention plan when you've got no full functional assessment to go off of. Okay? The fact that this needs to be said in 2023 just makes me despair for humanity. And I was already despairing for humanity. Team comment is all I'm saying. Team comment. Mothers are questioned about what they recalled regarding any prior behavioral interventions. In general, mothers felt that the staff was not competent at understanding their child's behavior or implementing effective behavior support. Of course not! Of course not! They're not adequately trained. Nor did they even know enough to go tell these mothers, like the teachers did to my aunt and my mother, that I needed to go get a full functional assessment done. Okay? When your teachers don't even know enough to say you need to get this taken care of and get an assessment done by professionals, yeah. For example, Heidi's mother stated, "Everyone says she's a unique case. Nobody really knows what to do with her. This is what drives me nuts." Really drives me nuts. We're going to close on this. She's not a unique case. Okay? The school likes to use terms like this because they want to pass the buck off to somebody else because they are in over their heads. But they're more willing to kick the can down the road than to actually turn to the parent and say, "Hey, there's some obvious issues going on in class. I think it would benefit us all if you would go get a full functional assessment done, and we'll start developing a behavioral intervention plan." This is logic. This is what was done in my case. And then, from my full functional assessment, a behavioral plan, an IEP, and an IDEA were all formulated from using that as a basis to get started. It's easier to pass what they deem the problem onto somebody else as opposed to being willing to put in the work. We're going to close on that, folks. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few that we do tend to get removed from time to time. So please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time. And as always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. Bye-bye, everyone.